So you want to move on. You're tired of doing the day-to-day bits of research, or not interested in fieldwork anymore, and you want to move on. But you're not really interested in people management either. So what's the next step that you can do in that space? And definitely I have had times when I'm not so interested in fieldwork either. So I'd say to start off by remembering that you have a ton of really important skills that you have built up in your time as a researcher. And even if you're not into doing field work anymore, all of those skills are going to serve you really well in whatever you decide to do. So don't get too caught up in the gatekeepers who say, well, you don't have X experience or Y experience. You probably do have something that you can transfer over from your researcher time. So I think first off, think about what does get you energized. If it's not the field work anymore, if you have no desire to do people management, then you know that about yourself, but what do you know about what you like to do? So that's always a really difficult question for me to answer. But again, researcher skills. Think about 10 times in the last year that you've been really energized, that you felt like you have done something that contributes to the world, that got you excited. Write those down and then consider what those things might have had in common. Think back to when you were younger, when you were a kid, when you were in school. What were 10 experiences that you can think back on positively that made you feel excited, that are part of your narrative, part of your story of who you are as a person? Again, tangible experiences. And finally, 5 things that you definitely don't want to do again. What are things that you want to have as red flags to avoid? Do you want to stay in the CX and UX space? If you do, then it's going to be a lot easier for you to move around. If you don't, it might be a bit more work for you to explain to people how your current experience set will fit into the new experience set. But again, you have a ton of transferable skills. You can look at the big picture and look at detailed things. You know how to get people to talk. You know how to empathize. You get people to open up. You help people to clarify and get alignment on situations, how to prioritize. You know, how to plan something with a lot of moving parts and then deal with changes against what you weren't expecting. You have a ton of superpowers here. So think about that. Easiest thing, move to research operations, design operations. You don't have to do field work necessarily, depending on the organization, but you still get to engage with that world and your experience is transferable. Central strategy teams, research teams that use secondary resources for research or who use vendors for research so you don't have to do the field work. You can move into a BA or a PM or a PO role, move over to the product side of things. That's obviously very easy to do if you explain your story well and you have a lot of the skill sets in the background. Customer success, internal sales, external sales, marketing, HR, training. Go further afield. I have talked to some great people who have come from journalism and interviewing. What if you wanted to do documentaries? What if you wanted to talk to people who are wanting to create the family story and do the interviewing and help them write up that story for their families? There are a ton of things that you can do either within the tech space, the non-tech space, entrepreneurial space. You've got a ton of options right now, and it really comes down to what things you want to lean into. Good luck.